Genesis 25, beginning at verse 27. You can look up on the screen. We're reading from the NIV version. It reads like this. The boys grew up. Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." That is why he was called Edom, which means red. Verse 31, Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." Verse 32, "Look, I am about to die," Esau said. "What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. He that had ears to hear, let him hear today. We would want to use for our subtopic this morning, dysfunctional families. Dysfunctional families. I'm going to say it again till y'all walk with me. Dysfunctional families. There's something called the Troxler effect, named after Ignaz Troxler, a Swiss physician who discovered the phenomenon more than 200 years ago. He noticed that when he had made himself stare at a central point of an image, the objects in his peripheral vision started to disappear within seconds. I tried it yesterday and it literally worked. As I stared at this picture, I stared at it, and before I know it, the picture disappeared. And I said, this is how we have grown up in our dysfunction, to the point that we have been seeing dysfunction for so long that everything else just disappears. And all we know is what we've seen and the dysfunction that we grew up in. And so what we see now becomes the norm. Here it is. Dysfunctional families stay dysfunctional by perpetuating the don't talk, don't trust, and don't feel rules. I'm going to say it again. There's going to be a lot of repeating and recall today. Dysfunctional families stay dysfunctional by perpetuating the don't talk. You know, in your family, your mama told you what happens in this house. I just want to know if y'all grew up like me. Don't talk. Don't trust. Don't trust nobody. Blood is thicker than water. And then we got that don't feel. If you grew up as a young man, you didn't have feelings. You toughed it out. Don't cry. You shed blood before you shed tears. Don't cry about it. Stop being a little. You can't say that no more. All right. I'm being politically correct now. Y'all see me? I'm trying to do better. But this impacts not only your childhood development, but it also impacts your adulthood. Because amid the dysfunction, the only thing that matters when you're in dysfunction is safety. Because everything else around you is chaotic and everything else around you is unstable. So the only thing that really matters to you in this dysfunction is that I'm safe in the midst of the dysfunction. And a true sign of a dysfunctional family is secret keeping. I knew I wasn't going to get too many amens this morning. That's right. You know, you find out later on in life who your real brothers are. You know, you find out that your cousin is really your half brother. You know, the lady that's been saying that's your auntie, that's really your mama. Secret keeping, I'm talking about these things that you don't tell anybody. He talking about uncle was going on a long vacation. No, he wasn't. He was in jail. But it's the secret keeping. And the problem here, the problem with dysfunctional families is this. Y'all ready? The problem with dysfunctional families, Sister Shemaylin, is that dysfunctional families come to church. And dysfunctional families come to church and make churches dysfunctional. And so therefore we live in a dysfunctional environment. Then we go to church and we master dysfunction by walking into church with all of our pretty clothes on and our makeup, knowing that we still messed up from how we woke up. My brother Aaron Tamave, who wrote a book, and I got a chance to meet him, beautiful brother, beautiful spirit. He wrote a book called Damaged Defaults, which is where I got the title. I told him, I said, man, I'm going to use that in my sermon series. But he writes in his book, he says this, he says, when do you learn to protect yourself? When you have been damaged by people that you should be able to trust. The real hurt is when you suffer not at the hands of enemies, but in the relationships that are closest to you. The relationships at home, the relationships at church, the relationships in a marriage, the relationships in your community, at work. And what happens is, and the question is what happens when trust becomes abnormal? When you grow up and not knowing who to trust because you've lived with betrayal. I'll say it again. When you grow up not knowing who to trust because you lived with betrayal, it taints and alters the lens of your perspective, and you develop default settings for how you handle hurt and how you respond to the hurt. That's why words from strangers can't hurt you, not only because you don't have a close relationship with them, because that's not how you've seen it play out in your life. It doesn't resemble the things that you've seen, but you've seen family hurt you. You've seen close people hurt you. And so now when you go out into your life, you're looking for those relational images that look like the same people that hurt you. And so now your boss is starting to look like your siblings. Now your spouse is starting to look like your parents. And so now the same hurt that you experienced as a child is what you're experiencing right now in your adulthood, because you're seeing the same images over and over and over again. So you revert back to your default settings. Can I give you some hope this morning? The promise of God and the promise of his chosen people was carried out not because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but the promise of God was carried out in spite of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What are you saying to us this morning, Pastor? What I'm saying to you, in the midst of all of their family dysfunction and in the midst of your family dysfunction, God still is going to receive, and he's still going to make sure that his promise comes to pass, no matter how messed up your family is. We feel like because we so messed up, we start throwing a pity party. You know, we victimize. But I don't want to talk about your family today. I want to talk about Jacob's family dysfunction. Because unlike your family dysfunction, Jacob's family dysfunction was written down. It was recorded. And so what if your family function was What if they put your family dysfunction in a book for everybody to read? I wonder what it would say. But Jacob's family dysfunction was recorded. And what we see is generational cycles and cycles and cycles that yet have not been broken. Let's look at the text. The text says the boys grew up and Esau became a skillful hunter. He was a man of the open country while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. The story opens with a contrast in their occupations. Everybody see that? It opens with a contrast in their occupation. And this lays the foundations for the transaction that is to come. And it talks about Esau, and it says Esau lived in freedom. He lived freely. His life was, he lived out in the open country. He lived life on the edge. His motto, if he lived today, would probably be YOLO, which means you only live once. He was a skillful hunter. He was rambunctious, as my grandmother used to say, rambunctious people. But then you got Jacob. You got Jacob who was quiet. He was content. He stayed at home. That's right, but he was a mama's boy. And we see the contrast between the two, because one is rambunctious and one is quiet, and you know what the one that's rambunctious is going to do, but it's the quiet people that you got to watch. Because even though sometimes they're quiet, there's a storm that's going on the inside, and just because they're cool, calm, and collective don't mean that they're not going crazy on the inside. So he stayed close to home and lived this nomadic life. But then we see that there is a rift in the marriage. You see that? There's a rift in the marriage when it comes to the kids. Somebody who's married knows what I'm talking about. Everything was good till we started having kids. Now there's a rift in the marriage, and we see this because the partiality for a child was a recurring feature of all three patriarchal households. All three patriarchal, the partiality, the favoritism, it was passed down. We saw that Isaac was favored over Ishmael. We saw that Jacob was favored over Esau. We saw that Joseph and Benjamin was favored over the other 11 siblings. It was passed down from generation to generation to generation. We see the parental division right here in the text. The parents are divided, and this sparks the dysfunction in the family. And one of the first things that we see in a dysfunctional family is dysfunctional families demonstrate selfism. Selfism is when you forsake all others for the glorification of yourself. And somehow the parental favoritism of Isaac and the profane lifestyle of Esau is often overlooked, because we look at Jacob and say he's a trickster and he's a deceiver and he's a manipulator. But can we focus our attention today and look at Esau? Look at Isaac. Because look at what Isaac said. Isaac disregards the oracle. Remember last week we talked about the oracle that God had given them when he said that the older shall serve the younger, and the younger will be stronger than the older. And so therefore, Isaac totally disregards what God said. Watch this. Because he said, I love Esau because he brings me wild game. Not for anything else other than the fact that he brings me venison. He brings me wild game. And so that's why he's my favorite. I love him because he satisfies my appetite. I hope y'all walking with me this morning. He satisfies my physical appetite, so therefore he is my favorite. And Isaac was a dysfunctional father. A dysfunctional father, because watch this, dysfunctional families also demonstrate conditional love. Woo! It's about to get good. Isaac's love was conditional. Isaac's love was contingent. See, when somebody loves us conditionally, they put terms. They put restrictions on the giving of their love. They can have a deep care and affection for you. However, the love is dependent upon the conditions that are going on. And it often feels like, you ever felt like this, that you had to earn their love. That's what we see here in the text, because if you read it, I'm not making this up. It's right here in the text. It's verse 28. It says, Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau. It gave an explanation for why he loved, because every time that he would bring him venison or the wild game, he loved his son. And so therefore, his appetite was satisfied because of what he brought him physically. Well, let me tell you something about conditional love. This love can also be withdrawn if certain expectations aren't met. I don't know what happens in your household, but sometimes in households that I've seen is that sometimes when you don't perform a certain way, when you're not the one that's making the straight A's, when you're not the one that's the good son, you're not the good daughter, therefore you don't get the things, you don't get the praise that you feel like you ought to deserve, because you're not meeting the expectations that we set for you. And so therefore my love is now conditional based on your performance. Also, this conditional love, it can also be transferred if the same expectation is met by somebody else. That means if they do it before you do, or if they do it better than you do, then therefore I love them, and you'll see my praise and my outward expression of love, and it will be transferred from you to them, because it only matters about who's meeting my expectation. I knew I wasn't going to get no amens this morning. That's all right. But this starts to look like ultimatums. You know, when you're in a relationship, somebody gives you ultimatum. You got to do this if you want me to do that. You got to beware of the if factor. When people start putting the if in front of their love, they're putting ultimatums, they're putting restrictions, they're putting terms on you, saying, if you don't change, there's no way I can stay here. If you don't commit to this, there's no way that I can be able to give you what I want. And so therefore what you're in, I stopped by to tell you, you're in a conditional loving relationship. Scripture says, because he loved what Esau gave him to eat, he loved Esau. Self-gratification. Dysfunctional families. Here's another thing. Dysfunctional families demonstrate internal and external conflict. They demonstrate internal and external conflict, because I need you to see it, because there's conflict in this household. And it's stated, and it's there right there in the text, and I hope you see it, don't pass it up. It says, Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to run it back. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. There was no explanation for her love, no explanation that was provided, and we can believe that she trusted the oracle of God, and that she believed that the wrong son was going to receive the promise. So she said, I got to intervene. I got to do something. You know how it is. We want to get out there and do something before we ask God to do it. Well, when we've been waiting long enough for God, you're not moving, so I got to get out there and do it. But you got to stop doing stuff and then asking God to put his stamp of approval on it. But there's a contrast and tension in the conjunction of but, and it sets the stage for the climactic dialogue that's getting ready to take place. What I'm saying to you is that there's trouble in paradise. There's trouble in paradise, because you go right back up to chapter 24, verse 67. It starts talking about when he took Rebekah into his mother's tent, and he took her in there and he married her. And after his mom died, she loved him and he loved her, and she comforted him. In the death of his mother, she was there for him. This was a loving wife. What happened to the love? We used to be in love. We used to have fun together. We used to have a good time. But what happened to the love? What happened to the fun times when we would go out and there wouldn't be any care in the world? And now we see that there's dysfunction. There's a split in the parental division, and it's there. And it's not only there, but it's there for the kids to see. Y'all think when y'all arguing, y'all kids don't hear y'all? But your kids see and they understand and they do what they see their parents do. Can I break it down for you like this? This is a coaching metaphor. It says, we say this in coaching. We say it like this. You're either coaching it or you allowing it to happen. You see what's going on in your household, and instead of you fixing it, you either coach it or you allow it to happen. And so therefore, now you become the perpetuator of why there's so much dysfunction, because you haven't done anything about it. You see these kids, they've been beefing since birth. They see division in their parents. And now we get ready to see division in the siblings. We continue to shift our focus. Let's shift our focus from the cunning and the craftiness of Jacob, and let's place this spotlight on Esau and his birthright. Look at the text. It says, once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country famished. He said to Jacob, quick, let me have some of your red stew. I'm famished. Jacob replied, first, sell me your birthright. I can see Jacob stirring the pot. Stirring the pot. Now that's Esau coming in tired from being out in the open country, and Jacob just stirring the pot. Y'all know somebody stirring up some mess. They just stirring the pot. And there he is. He's stirring the pot, and he said, yeah, I'll give you some of this stew. And he picking it up, letting it drop down. Showing him how thick it is, how good it smells. You can see the steam coming off the pot. He said, but first, sell me your birthright. A birthright was a special honor that was given to the firstborn son. It included a double portion of the family inheritance, along with the honor of one day becoming the family's leader. In Israel, the firstborn offspring, whether it was animal or human, was supposed to be dedicated to God. But more than gaining the material goods, it was gaining the leadership of the family. It was gaining the leadership of the family. And we see this as it happens, and we see two demands. We see Esau making a demand saying, give me something to eat. And then Jacob making a demand saying, give me your birthright. Give me something to eat. Give me your birthright. Wait a minute. Let's go back. I want to tie this together. I want to make sure you get it. Remember that his father had a bad appetite. His father fell victim to his physical appetite. And now we look at Esau, and we see that he has the same traits of his father, because he's saying, give me something to eat. And he's overcome by his appetite, his fleshly desire to want to be fed. Alan P. Ross says it like this. He says, it is personal appetites that allow us to become prey to the cunning hunter. I need y'all to see it. Because watch how in the entire text, Esau is described like an animal. They said he was hairy. They said he was red. And now he's coming in and he's hungry like an animal. He's running around. He's famished. And it's just like sitting something in a cage and you waiting on your prey to come into the cage. And right when he comes into the cage, the door is shut. This animal-like nature we see, but we see a superior hunting ability of Jacob. So it makes us look at the text. We got to look at the text. We got to interrogate it. Who's the real hunter? I need y'all to dig in this thing with me. Who's the real hunter? Because here it is. He's setting up the right trap. He's setting up the right position. He's setting up the right place. And he has everything set up, and he's sitting back waiting on his prey. And the cunning, skillful hunter in Esau falls into a better hunter's trap by becoming a prey to his own appetite. The cooking in this, I need you to see this cooking. The word cooking in the Hebrew means to become hot, to boil up, but it also means to behave presumptuously. That means Jacob was lying there waiting on his prey. And Esau fell because his appetite, he was so hungry. And just like many of us, he's hungry and he wants it right now. We want it right now. We want instant gratification. We got this appetite for success. We got this appetite for a promotion. We got this appetite for money. We got this appetite for power, this appetite for sex, this appetite for homosexuality, to the point where our appetite makes us pray. And we fall victim every single time, not because of just of who we are, but it's because of our appetite. And we don't want to wait. We want it right. We want it right now. And we see this. He wants more. He's greedy. He wants his appetite. And he totally disregards his privilege. His privilege is disregarded. He was the firstborn son. Everything was going to come to him. The land, the money, the power, the prestige, it was going to come to him. But it's all disregarded just because of his physical appetite. Esau showed a complete disregard for the spiritual blessing. But watch this. I need y'all to see this. I'm going to read it for y'all. I want to see if y'all see it how I see it. He said, once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country famished. Okay, I say it again. I didn't get it the first time either. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Once when Jacob was cooking some stew, the skillful hunter, the one who hunts, he's so good at it, came back hungry. Y'all get it now. Y'all get it now. Y'all get it now. Y'all get it now. How is it that you're so skillful, you're good at what you do, you're out in the open country all day long, and you came back empty-handed? Famished. And so what we see here in the text is not only that Esau is empty physically, but he is overcome by failure occupationally. And it's these situations when your physical at home is trapping you, but then you go to work and it seems like there's failure at work, and now you're in the pressure of this moment, and now what do I do? Because now the pressure of the moment, is on. Not only am I hungry, but I'm also feeling like a failure. I need y'all to walk with me today. Not only am I hungry, I've been out here all day, I ain't got nothing to show for it. And so now the pressure of the moment is upon me. Now I'm looking at my life and there's more no's than there are yeses. There's more deaths than there are births. There's more trials than there are triumphs. And so what am I supposed to do in the pressure of the moment? But pressure makes you lose perspective. It's the pressure of the moment that makes you lose perspective, because watch this, when temptation comes, normally temptation only comes for a moment. It's not a week-long temptation. It's not a month-long temptation. It's in that moment that you feel as though you feel empty. You're not getting what you need. You don't have what you need. Nobody has cultivated and cuddled you the way that you want. And so therefore, you do something that you know ordinarily that you wouldn't do. But the pressure of the moment is taking over. And you succumb to the pressure. And I see Esau, he's coming in from the open country and he's succumbing to the pressure of the moment. I hadn't caught anything all day and I'm hungry. And here you are in here cooking some stew. You better give me some of that stew. The pressure of the moment. But watch this. I need you to see it. Esau was oblivious to what he had because he was preoccupied with where he was. I'm going to say it again. Esau was oblivious to what he had because he was preoccupied with the way he was. And that's just like us. Sometimes we don't know and understand what we truly possess. Ooh, I need somebody to go with me right now. We don't understand who we truly are as children of the Most High God, as children of the living God, as children of Jesus Christ, who got up on Sunday morning with all power and authority in his hand, and we don't know who we are. And so now we're more concerned about the way we are. We're so concerned about our circumstances and everything around us that we can't even see. Baby, you are blessed. You're not only blessed, you're blessed and highly favored, baby. You got something that nobody else has. Baby, you got something that's on the inside of you that nobody else has. What I'm trying to tell you is, and I want you to understand, is God has given you something that he does not want you to give away so easy. He's put something on the inside of you where he said, I need you to cherish it. I need you to know where it comes from, because it comes from me and nobody else, and nobody can take it away from you. Don't allow your future destination to be robbed by your present location. Y'all don't want to have church today. I see that. Y'all don't want to have church. I'm trying to give you something to go home with. Don't allow your future destination to be robbed by your present location. You just looking at where you are right now when you ought to be looking forward to where God is taking you. And if you can be able to get past your situation right now, God said, baby, I got so much more for you. I want to do some things in you that ain't never been done before. I want to be able to allow you to shine. I want you to be able to step out and people start asking you, how are you doing it, baby? How did you get to where you are? How are you able to succumb all the things that you've been through? How are you able to stand when all hell is breaking loose all around you? I'm trying to give you something. I want to give you something. And he said, I know you're tired. Who am I talking to right now? He said, I know you're tired. That's what the word famished means. It means I'm tired. I'm exhausted. He said, I know you're tired. I know you're weary. But I stopped by to tell you, baby, don't get weary in well doing. But I promise you, you just reap. You're going to get back what you sow. I promise that God is going to do something in your life. Let me tell it to you like this. You ever seen a basketball player on a basketball court? I know these brothers back here play basketball. When a basketball player gets mad, what do? They take the ball and they do what? They slam the ball down. But no matter how hard they slam the ball down, the ball bounces back up. Y'all ain't ready to have church today. That means they can slam the ball down even harder, but the ball goes even higher. What I'm saying to you is every time you thought you were being slammed down, you still bounce back up. And it's not about how hard they're slamming you, but it's what's on the inside of you. And I stopped by to tell you this morning that you got something on the inside of you. Greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. So you can slam me down all you want, but I'm going to bounce back. You ought to tell somebody this morning, baby, this is your bounce back season. I know you've been slammed down, but you're going to bounce back. I know life has been hard, but you're going to bounce back. I know all hell is breaking loose, but you're going to bounce back. Bounce back season, bounce back season, bounce back season. This is your bounce back season. You got to remember that diamonds are created under pressure. And you got to hold on. Your time is coming. You got to hold on in the midst of the pressure. Ashish Patel says it like this. He says, what breaks you down is not the amount of pressure that you feel at one time, but it's the way you perceive the pressure when it comes upon you. And we got to make sure that the pressure of the moment does not distort your perspective. The pressure of the moment cannot distort your perspective, because what happens is we start over-exaggerating our circumstances. Yeah. That's what happened. He said, I'm famished. I'm about to die. Y'all know that person who always over-exaggerate everything? You know, one little thing and they about to die. You know, they coughing and they, oh, Lord. That was me, my sister tell you. I got sick. I thought I was going to die every time. Oh, Lord. But that they over-exaggerate stuff because the perspective of the moment changes. And because there's so much pressure, you start over-exaggerating. And that's what Esau did. He started over-exaggerating. He said, I'm famished. And then he conceded with himself. He said, you know what? What good is this birthright anyway? If I'm going to die. If I'm going to die, then I might as well just give it to him. Watch this. If I die, he going to get it anyway, Pastor. So I might as well just give it to him and live. So Esau gave in to the moment. He sacrificed the spiritual provision for the satisfaction of his physical appetite. Wow. The spiritual for the natural. The Hebrew writer writes this, verse Hebrews 12:16 says, see that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau. I'm going to say that again. He says, see that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau, who for a single meal sold his inheritance rights as the oldest son, and afterwards, as you know, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, he was rejected, even though he sought it out crying in tears. It was too late. Don't disregard your privilege. It's true, y'all, that no one can hurt you like your family. Jacob told him, swear to me first. Basically what he told him, Sister Stella, is put it on something. Put it on something. He said, swear to me first. It's your brother. Y'all was in the womb together. He said, no, give me your birth. Watch this. I want to take your place, Brother Addison. I want to be where you are, Josh. I want to be in your place. So give me your birthright because I want what you have. Can't nobody hurt you like your family. Neither Jacob or Esau, their acts are commended. But Jacob, we always talk about him being a deceiver. But this time, Jacob wasn't deceiving. He was manipulative, but not deceiving. He told him straight up, I'm going to give you these beans. You give me that birthright. Ain't nothing deceiving about that. Esau had a choice. But as we look at this thing, we see that Jacob, who came into the story with a pot of red stew, left with a birthright. Esau, who came in with the birthright, left full of red stew. Esau, just like his father, is captivated and driven by his own appetite. Jacob, the heel grabber, it's not enough for Jacob to know that the promise is coming to him so Jacob knows that the promise, I'm pretty sure his mama told him, baby, you gonna get it. Baby, you the one. Baby, I know God told me when you was in your mama's womb that you was going to be the one. But Jacob said, no, I got to do something myself. I got to make sure this happens a little faster because I'm not seeing this thing open up. So I got to step. I'm not talking about y'all. Okay, cool. I'm talking about Jacob. I got to move a little faster because what God had told my mama, I ain't seen it yet. And so therefore, let me help God out. Let me step in and help God do what God should have done a long time ago. And let me get this stew going. And let me start stirring the pot and wait on this big head boy to come in here famished. And I'm going to give him exactly what he wants. And then we see Esau, who's defeated. How do I know he's defeated? I want you to look at the text, and I'm done. Look at the text. It says, then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, then got up and left. It don't sound like nobody that was dying to me, Brother Drayton. I don't think he was dying because it says he ate, he drank, he got up, and he left. That's all he wanted. He wanted what he wanted at that moment. And sometimes when we want what we want at that moment, we'll give up whatever we have to be able to get it. And I just want to tell you right now, don't sell yourself short. Stop giving away your goods. Stop giving away your precious pearls. Stop giving away the things that belong to God. Stop giving away your purpose. Stop giving away your vision. Stop giving away the things that God has given you, because I didn't give it to you to give away. I gave it to you to cultivate, for you to manage, to be able to make sure that you ensure that the promise is going to come. Stop selling what God has given you, because what you don't understand, you think you're giving it away just because you're getting something in return, but you're giving away your spiritualness. You're giving away something that did not belong to you. You're giving away something that God put in you. And if God put it in you, then guess what? It still does not belong to you, but it belongs to God. I need y'all to see this. This is why the scripture says, I love Jacob, but Esau, I hated, because he gave away not just his birthright, but he gave away everything that belonged to me. He gave away the promise. He gave away the purpose. He gave away everything that I had given him, and he gave it away for a pot of stew. Stop giving away your precious oil. Stop giving away your precious pearls. Stop giving away the things that God has given you. Stop giving. Don't sell it for so cheap. Stop selling yourself for so cheap. You ain't got to smile just because they smile. They ain't doing nothing to make you laugh. You want to stand on your own 2 feet and know that he's a trumper. Every day of the week he's a trumper, and they still ain't going to indict him. But watch this. We see Esau despising the promise. He despises the promise. Look at the last verse. So Esau despised his birthright. He despised it. He despised it. The word despise means he undervalued it. He didn't think that much of it. He thought lowly of his birthright to the point where he despised it. He despised the promise. I need y'all to see this. God had gave Abraham a promise. Now we see Esau despising the promise, because a lot of times we despise it because we don't know what it truly is. Because we don't wait and have time to develop it. So he leaves in defeat. Look at it. He ate, he drank, he got up, and he left. He's defeated. But here's what I want you to know, this last thing. Defeat will make you despise who you are. We all like winning, but if you lose enough, you start to rethink who you are. If you start losing enough, you'll start questioning where you are. If you start losing enough, you'll start questioning God. And sometimes when you turn on the TV, you start thinking that we're losing. When you look at your social media, you think that we're losing. But I stopped by to tell you this morning that we are fighting a fixed fight. The battle has already been won. Jesus has already died on the cross. He got up from the grave with all power. Baby, we're not fighting for victory. We're fighting from victory. So you got to know, when I stand up, I stand with victory on my side. When I stand up, I'm fighting the fight that's already been won. So all God is asking you to do is not to swing. God is just asking you to stand. I got your back. I got everything else taken care of. Stop worrying all the time. Stop striving all the time. I just need you to stand. And remember how I gave this thing to you. I know you got a dysfunctional family. I got to go. I know your family dysfunction is bothering. I know it's messed up. There was a lady that used to take her 2 pots, and she used to walk to the river to go get water. And she would walk to the river to go get water, and there was one pot that had holes in it. And every time she would walk to the river, the pot would just leak out water everywhere, Brother T. And it would just leak out water to the point where when she got back, there wouldn't be any water in the pot. And so the next time she went to the river, the pot got mad. The pot said, why do you keep taking me out here? You know I got dysfunctions. You know I got holes in me. Why do you keep taking me up here? I'm no use to you. Just let me go. The lady said, I know your dysfunction. I know every crack that you got in you. That's why everywhere that we walk, I planted seeds. Everywhere that we walk, I planted seeds. And so now when we walk, baby, what you don't understand is I've made account for all the cracks that you got on the inside of you. And everywhere you go, baby, you just planting seeds because that's my divine will. I know you got cracks, but baby, I got a plan for your life. And the plan is to see you grow and to see you prosper and to see you win. As the old preacher used to say, goodbye if I don't see you no more. Have a good day. May the Lord God bless you real good. But I got one more thing for you. Esau sold his birthright. But that was somebody else who sold out Jesus. Judah sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. He thought that by selling Jesus that would give him something better. But what he don't know is he gave up his right for eternal life. And that Jesus, even though Jesus was killed, and even though Jesus died, and even though he went down in the grave, what he did not understand that Jesus was in his bounce back season. Because every time they thought he was going down, oh, y'all with me now? On Sunday morning, guess what? He got right up on Sunday morning with all power in his hands. Power in his hands. Because that's the kind of God we serve. He's a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is just who you are. He that had ears to hear today, let him hear. The doors of the church are open today.